Hey everybody, it's Romania Black, and we are on episode 9 of Buddy Daddies, and yeah, I've been really excited. I was actually very busy getting ready for a trip coming up, and so when they announced that they were skipping a week with Buddy Daddies and they were just going to do a recap episode and then do episode 9 afterwards, I was honestly, I know a lot of people were upset, but for my scheduling, I was like, okay, good. Because I had so much to catch up on, I was like, I will just watch the recap, talk about it in the discussion before we start episode 9, and then go from there. Because honestly, I'm not going to react to episode 8.5. It's a recap episode. Do we really need to react to it? It's all just stuff we've seen before. But I did watch it and took some notes, and I have comments from previous episodes that I want to go over with you all before we start episode 9. Because we're entering the last arc of the season, right? We have 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. We actually have 5 episodes left, which is kind of crazy. We have so much Buddy Daddies left to go in this season, which I am all for. We were talking in the comments on Patreon. I think Sasha was the one that noted it, saying that this is one of those series that just kind of came out of left field, and then it's just been so good. And I've really looked forward to, we call it like Crack Fridays, where you just sit down, and I have other things I need to be watching for this channel, but I just want to watch Buddy Daddies on Fridays. Even if I'm watching ahead, I'm like, you can't help it, right? And so it's been really nice coming back from my trip this weekend to be like, no, let's watch episode 9, talk about episode 8.5, and go from there. But we have some things, some comments to go to before we get to that. So Ziara talked about in episode 6, with episode 6 focused on Miri's growth, episode 7 focused on Kazuki's growth, episode 8 focused on Rei's growth. So is Kyu next in episode 9? Will Kyu-chan get an episode of growth? It'd be cool if we got some Kyu-chan focus. I would really like that. Anime Annie is going to be throughout this comment section, but Anime Annie said that Miri has been growing up as the episodes progress. And I wanted to show you all a visual that, yes, I hadn't really realized it, but yeah, it's been 8 months up to episode 8 that Rei and Kazuki have had Miri with them, and she's grown. She's gotten taller. She's gotten a little bigger. She's like developed better manners. Like she's grown as a character from being around these two hitmen of all things, right? So I really thought that was very cool. And then also Anime Annie wanted to point out that there were 3 sunflowers on the table in episode 8, or 3 sunflowers on the table in episode 7, that were pointing to the fact that, or maybe it was episode 8, that in Japan, 3 sunflowers is a representation of a possible confession of love. And I was like, you could take that as platonic and say that it's a confession of love between Miri, Kazuki, and Rei as a family. Or if you want to ship Rei and Kazuki, you could take it as a confession of love. I think there being 3 sunflowers ties nicely to being the 3 of them as a family. So you could take it as platonic, you could take it as romantic, whichever you want. But also sunflowers mean this, there is hope. And I like the idea at the end of episode 8 that there is hope for Rei. I'm sure we're going to get a lot of angst. Everybody in the Discord was like putting some doom and gloom scenarios of what could go down. And I was like, I want to be optimistic and then have the angst with a happy ending. But some people were like, maybe one of them will die. I was like, don't say Rei or Kazuki will die. I will be heartbroken. No. I do wonder, like, are they going to go into like witness protection? Are they going to go underground? Are they going to quit being hitmen? Are they going to go into hiding? Are they going to take on Rei's family? And Rei's going to be like, yeah, I'm going to take over the family, but Kazuki and Miri are coming with me and we're changing things. Like, maybe it's like that, and Rio and the dad have to go to make that happen. I don't know. But I do like the idea that the end of the episode gives hope for Rei that he can have this family. I want him to have this family and a cat. I want by the end of the season for him to have a cat, but we'll see if we get there. Lou commented that Miri is playing Mario Kart with Rei, that the idea that at the very beginning Rei didn't have Mario Kart and then he got it for Miri. And I was like, oh, that's so cool, showing the development of their relationship, right? But also that maybe Miri headcanon goes and sleeps with Rei and Kazuki when she's having a bad dream. That would be really, really cute. Also, there is an Instagram for the show. Some people have talked about it in the comments, both on YouTube and on Patreon. Yes, I was told on Patreon that there is a Instagram account for Buddy Daddies. I have an Instagram account for Romania Black. There's like one picture on it. I never use Instagram. I just look at things on Instagram, but I never use it. But there is a Buddy Daddies Instagram account. It's adorable if you go find it. It's kind of a weird name. It's not, I'll have to put a link down to it below in the description. It's not what you think it is. But when you get on it, it's just pictures of realistic photos from the series, like like a plate of French toast from episode 8 that was burnt is like one of the pictures on Instagram. It's just really cute, and they show pictures of actually where the show is based, like in real life. So that's a cool feature. But if you've not caught up with the series, you might be careful because there might be spoiler images on there, right? But I thought that was really neat. I like they have an Instagram account for the show. Anime Annie, yes, noted that Ray did not have Mario Kart the game at first. Also, I didn't realize this. My parents always checked our temperature either in our ears with a little ear device or through our mouth. So I didn't know you could check it with armpits, but apparently that's an easier way to check temperatures. Not the most accurate, but is a way to do it that's easy. Of course, Ray would go for the easy method. I feel like Kazuki would go for the most accurate and Ray goes for the easiest, right? It's just that parental balance. But also, Anime Annie pointed out that we have the representation of what hydrangeas mean in episode 7, but there's been like cacti in Ray and Kazuki's home, and so Anime Annie said that that the specific cacti that are represented in the show also have symbolic meaning that means warmth, endurance, ardent love, but can also mean lust or passion, which I think fits those two very nicely. And then the phrase that the two older women say in episode 7, or not older, but the two women that work for the casino, they tell Kazuki to make each other happy. And Anime Annie pointed out that the specific Japanese translation of make each other happy is actually a phrase people normally say during weddings or in preparation for a wedding. So I'm like, subtext, y'all. Subtext. So then I watched episode 8.5 just now. Literally just watched it like 30 minutes ago and took some notes. We get ages in that episode. It's kind of finally revealed. I've been hesitant to like get any like specific guidebook information because I've been afraid for spoilers, but episode 8.5 gives us some things. Kazuki's 28, thinks of himself as a good cook. Ray is 25. Miri is 4, so very believable that they're her actual parents. Miri has grown as the series has gone on. Q-chan is 32. Nice. Like that he's the elder one to keep all these youngins in line. Kadeen is 22, and it states in Anime Annie shared on Discord that there was a little thing that says that Yuzuko was 25 when she died. So Yuzuko was actually older than Kazuki, because Kazuki 5 years ago would have been 23 and she was 25, so she was 2 years older than him. And they do say in episode 8.5 that Kazuki acknowledges that she was his wife, and because he says, my wife and our unborn child died. So and in the character bio, she does have Kazuki's last name. So they were married, but she ends up passing. I like the idea of Ray describing Miri as being Kazuki's fault at the start of episode 8.5. That was hilarious, being like, this is Kazuki's fault. He's brought this kid here. And he says he doesn't quite get Miri, but he thinks he'll stay a little longer to protect her. And I'm like, oh yeah, we can see right through that, right? Kazuki also says, I like that in the episode 8 recap, Kazuki does the voiceover, and he says that Ray's life was as complicated as his own. And I'm like, that's an understatement, sir. But calls them complicated. But then at the very end, Kazuki says that he's created this family that he wants to protect. And as the moment that it says the family I want to protect, what do we cut to? We cut to a shot that Miri drew of Kazuki in the tux and Ray in the oil tycoon garb, which looks like a wedding gown. So it's like this show knows what it's doing. It's very much subtext, but it's like you're like 5 sheets away from being context. Let's be real. So I'm excited, y'all. It's been a good long week and a half since I've watched Buddy Daddies. I watched episode 8.5 a minute ago. It was really nice, but I've missed our boys, and I have muted the channel on Discord so that I've not been, so that I wouldn't be spoiled. So we'll see what happens. So I'm really excited, y'all, to get into this episode and see. I've tried to stay away from any previews, anything like that. I've not been on Twitter all week because I've been gone. And so that's been nice because then I come into this episode and I can enjoy it as it is. So we're not going to waste any more time, y'all. We're going to dive right into Buddy Daddies episode 9. And we're going to do that here in 3, 2, 1, And let's go. That was freaking precious. That episode was so cute. That was so adorable. Buddy Daddies, why are you doing this? Because you know what's gonna happen. I'm like, they are just setting it up where we are gonna have these really, really cute, adorable episodes like this one. I didn't even think about them going this route. I was like, oh, as soon as we're going to get back from the recap, we're going to focus on Q-chan. We're going to have all this. We still have 10, 11, 12, 13. We have 4 episodes to go. That's plenty of time to talk about Q-chan. Plenty of time to get talking about him in this. But what they're doing is the worst thing, where they give us this amazingly wholesome, cute, beautiful episode. And it's where Ray has the idea that they could be a family, and he seems gung-ho about it. Like, by the end of the episode, he's like, oh, we'll practice for next year. Like, he's already planning for next year. Like, this is gonna be a thing. And so it's like Ray getting on board with the family, and then it's just like Buddy Daddy's PA is setting us up. They're like, oh, this is really cute, right? And the next 4 episodes are gonna be trauma. Now, I will be honest, the Discord freaks me out because everybody in the Discord are like the most negative Nancys. They're like, who's gonna die? Is Ray gonna die? Is Kazuki gonna die? Is Q-chan? I'm like, whoa. Why are we killing off main characters? No, I do not think that's going to happen. Let me say first and foremost, I don't think this series is killing off Ray or Kazuki. Let's be real. They're not gonna kill off our 2 main characters with Miri. No, they're not killing Miri. No. Now, do I think this series would give us a fake out where we think that Ray or Kazuki dies? Oh yeah, I am fully prepared to be in denial in one of these upcoming episodes where they're gonna make us think that Ray or Kazuki. I think they're gonna make us think that Kazuki's gonna die because Ray is the one with the ultimate dilemma here. It's kind of interesting that in this series you have Ray and Kazuki, and at the very start of the series, we're kind of framed to believe that Kazuki is the main character, right? It seems like it's framed in the first couple episodes, and in the cherry pick intermission recap, they do it primarily from Kazuki's point of view. So we're led to believe that Kazuki is the main character, and he's just like, oh, I've got to deal with Ray and Miri. But as the series goes on, it slowly starts to shift. Like post episode 7, it's starting to shift over to a more Ray focus. So like in the first half of the series, we've had a Kazuki focus, and now we're shifting over more towards Ray. So I think that the crux of this entire series is going to be Ray's decision of what to do, because Ray is the one tasked with the big decision here. Kazuki's already made his choice. Kazuki in episode 7, he chose to move forward with this new family and keep the past with him, because you can't forget the past. Keep the past with him, but move forward with this new chapter in his life. So Kazuki's kind of come to terms with everything, and he's sort of made peace with his past with Karin, with Yuzuko, and he's accepted that Miri and Ray are his new family. That's the deal. And he's come to grips with it, and he's accepted it and ready to go with it. Now it's Ray who has the conflict. Ray's conflict is the much bigger conflict in that it's still around. Rio and his father, the boss, are still there. So that, in this last 4 episodes, that's going to be the conflict we have to deal with. And that, what do we do with Rio, the insane psychopathic assassin, and the boss? What do we do with them? And they're prevalent in the OP. I want to go back to that OP and look at a few things. But they're prevalent in there. My theory at this point, before we dive into this episode, my theory is that we established a few things time-wise in this episode. One, we established it's October. So it has been 2 months since the events of episode 8. 2 months. And at the very end of this episode, we see Rio coming up being like, hey, are you doing that thing we told you to do? It's been 60 days, and Q has been hesitating and not doing the thing because he's like, I don't want to turn them in, because he loves them, right? I feel like Q loves them. So, but Rio is clearly monitoring them, and Rio is the one that's been following them creepily and getting all the pictures and stuff. Ew. So I feel like what they are setting up is that either one of 2 things with Q. Either Q is going to go along with it as minimal as possible, or Q is going to jump ship and be punished. I don't want Q to die in this series. I don't think Q will die, but I don't know what's going to happen with him. He's kind of a big question mark. Like, would they kill Kyu off? Maybe, but I feel like Kyu needs to be there in the series to be that level-headed uncle figure that like helps them out. So I don't think in the long run Kyu's going to die, but if he does, I'm not going to be surprised, but I'm just going to be like, oh my God, they actually did it. But I think Kyu is trying to work out in these 2 months a plan to get Rei and Kazuki safe until they can figure out what to do. We'll see how that goes. But he's been hesitating for 2 months, meaning that there's been 2 months where Rio's been following this family and gathering intel, which is terrifying. I do think the series is going to give us a fake out death. I think they're going to make us think that Kazuki's died, and then Rei is going to be the one saddled with this. It's either going to go, the angst is going to go one of two ways. Either we're going to think that Kazuki and Miri dies, and Rei is left in this pit of despair, which is going to be heartbreaking. Or it's going to be that Rei decides to leave Kazuki and Miri to go back to the family and say, I'm cutting ties with you because I don't want you to die. So I'm going to go and take over the family business and leave you. And then Kazuki, Kyu, and Miri have to figure out some way to get Rei back. I feel like it's going to go one of two ways. We're going to have angst either of Rei leaving the family that he loves to save them, or there being a fake out death where Rei thinks his family is dead and just falls into this pit of despair. But either way, I think Rei is going to be the one that is suffering through this, and Kazuki is going to have to be the one to save him. I don't think Kazuki and Rei are going to die in this series. If they do, I'm going to be kind of mad, because I'm like, really, show? You built all of this sweet wholesomeness up to give us a terrible, tragic ending? No, I don't think the series is going to do that. I think they're going to give us a happy ending. We're just going to have to suffer until we get to it, right? What I think is going to happen is I think Rio's going to die. Rio has to die. We've established Rio is a psychopathic hitman and delights in seeing people's last moments. He's going to have to go. Rio's going to have to get out of here. He's got too many connections to Kazuki's wife's death. And that was the other thing, yeah, Kazuki and them being actually married. He's going to have to die because he's got ties to Kazuki's wife and her death. He also knows too much about Miri. He has the hit out on Rei. He doesn't care if Rei dies. He's going to have to go. And I honestly think that in my headcanon would be at this point that at the end of the season, the boss and Rio are taken out. The two of them are taken out, and Rei takes over the family business and then changes it up to where him and Kazuki and Miri can be at peace and be happy by themselves. Or they disband the hitman, the association, the organization, whatever. That's what I want. I want Rei and Kazuki to take over the family business and then just like disband it. And then Kyu can become an actual bartender, and then them all have their happily ever after ending. I'm a sucker for a happy ending. I'm not into the bad endings. So everybody's negative juju in the Discord, I am actively denying it. So no. I deny your angst. But which is fine, but I was like, everybody's like talking about all this death and destruction. I'm not like that. Leave my people alone, right? I'm going to actively defend them the rest of this season. But I do think we're going to get some angst. I think that this show has been buttering us up with all this warm fuzzies, and then they're going to just deliver some horrifying angst to us. I think that they're going to maybe leave Miri with Anna through part of the last couple episodes, being like, hey, can you watch her while we go take care of business? I think that might be the case. I don't know. They established Anna in this episode as a strong individual, so maybe girl can hold her own. I'm just saying. But yeah, I feel like there's going to be some angst. They're going to give us some miscommunication or some garbage, and then we're going to have to deal with it until the happy ending happens. Because, by God, if this show does not give us a happy ending, I will be furious. I will be rioting. But I think it will. And if it doesn't, if it leaves us on a damn cliffhanger, there better be a season 2. That's all I can say. If they think they're going to leave us on an angsty cliffhanger, we better have a damn season 2 to get answers. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's been 2 months. So things have been... And 2 months since Rei was faced with a dilemma and was just like, eh! So in the 2 months, rather than Rei kind of focusing on his father and the whole thing with Rio, instead he's kind of doubled down on the family aspect of it, which is like, just what can we do? I like that a lot of this episode was focused on Rei becoming more vocal and accepting them as a family. And something that's really nice about this episode is that Kazuki, the only thing Kazuki really wants Rei to do is become more vocal around Miri. Like when they're at the parent track meet, Ray is really quiet and kind of standoffish and doesn't really want to get with the parents. And Kazuki's totally fine with that. He's like, me and the ladies, we're having a great time over here. You do you. I like that Kazuki is very accepting of Ray and his personality, but he just wants Ray. He knows how much Ray puts into loving Miri. Kazuki is aware of that, but he wants Miri to know it. He wants Miri, because Miri's 4. So he's like, I want Miri to know how much you love her. So be vocal about it so she understands, right? Because adults kind of get nuances about personalities, and kids are attentive too. We established that way back in episode 6. But I think that Kazuki still understands that Miri's a kid. She needs to know just how much Ray loves her, and Ray does love her. I mean, he has the little pink towel in his hand and he's offering it to her, and Kazuki's like, hey, we have to advise her and get excited on her behalf. Like, come on, Ray. And Ray's just like, really? I feel like I said in the reaction, I feel like Kazuki is going to be, if fingers crossed these two bumbling goons get to raise this girl into adulthood, I feel like Kazuki would be the one that, as she's a child, is going to be like, yeah, go Miri, we can do it, and be super cartoony and gung-ho-y and funny. But then once she hits teenage years, I feel like her and Ray are going to bond so much, because Ray will be like, okay, here's what you have to do. You have to do this. And she's like, got it. And Kazuki's like, but this. And she's like, Dad, you're being lame. I'm going to go here with other dad. And he's like, I feel like Kazuki is the best parent for Miri as a kid. And then once she hits preteen teenage years, Ray is going to be her best friend, because she's going to be like, let's do the things. He's like, yes, let's. I love that, right? They get all up and he's like, that's the spirit, Miri. And just her practicing running, right? And then here's the thing. No wonder Kyu-chan doesn't want to do the job, because they keep bringing her over there to the bar. And she's so endearing and cute, right? And Q is seeing how happy that they are together. The three of them are so happy with her. And Q, it's probably killing him, because he's like, I don't want to ruin this. This is so good for both of them. And what I'm being tasked to do is going to tear them apart. And I love that. I love when Kazuki's like, oh, she's got grit just like me. And Ray's like, wait, who? Who? And he's like me. And I would get a picture of that, Ray being like, grit, you, really? That expression from Ray where he's like, are you freaking kidding me? He's like, don't glare at me. And Ray's like, you don't have grit. But Q being like, I thought I'd see you two going along to a kids event. And then she's like, Papa's going to take lots of pictures. And she's like, I want to show Q-chan. Q's become their uncle, right? And she wants to involve him. And so of course this is hard for him. That's why I feel like Q's trying to think of something to do. Some way to get around it. But I don't know. I'm like, Buddy Daddies, why are you making me be so scared and nervous? And so I want to go back to this OP and check a few things out. We have Miri and them running. Miri's running away. They're running after. There's the girls. Okay. And then there's a bunch of guys chasing after shooting. I guess they've been there the whole time, right? Although I wanted to get, what did the gun say? The gun says, I want nothing but death. And then they juxtapose that scene, I want nothing but death, with the lyrics, I want to love, is this true love? I refuse to believe that one of these two main characters is going to die. I refuse to believe it. I think they'll fake us out. I think they'll make us think that one of them is going to. But no, I think in the end they're going to be okay. I hope so. So Ray doing the stakeout. Oh my God. The whole thing. I was like, Ray, are you trying to plant bombs on the playground with these kids? But he was really just trying to plant an area where they could take photographs and make it to where no one else took that spot. Of course, Ray is that type of dad. Ray is the secret threat, right? We need to worry about that. And then he's like, the mission went flawlessly, as he has all the makeup on his face so he's not seen. And Kazuki's like, really? Are you kidding me? And here's the thing. I love the idea that neither of them have ever been to a field day. They didn't have childhoods, so they've never really gone to one. They don't know what to expect. But the moment that Ray is like, oh, hey, do you want some help? Can I help? And Kazuki's like, hold on! What? You offered to help make food? Are you okay? Is there a fever? Are you really Ray? In 10 months. Like we don't know how long they were together before this. We just know they were together. And in the 8.5 episode, you do get a better sense of like, it makes more sense in episode 1 now where Kazuki's like, Ray, like knowing how their relationship started from episode 8, it makes more sense. But the idea that in these 10 months with Miri, Ray's like, I can make rice balls. And Kazuki's like, do you have a fever? Are you okay, man? Like the fact that it's so domestic. He's like, have you finally snapped? And he's like, no. And I love that Kazuki's like, to think this day would come. Like he's so dramatic. He's like, to think this day would come when Ray would be making rice balls. And I love that Ray's like, calm down, dude. Like, calm down. He's like, you couldn't even make a cup of ramen for yourself and now you're making rice balls. He's like, but to help Miri. I like that Ray's like, do you think that Miri will like it? Like, he didn't even know if Miri would like it. He was just doing it thinking she might. My heart, y'all. My heart. It's so, so sweet. And then I like the Kazuki's like, damn right she will. And he imitates Miri. He's like, Papa Ray made them. God, these two, I can't. I honestly cannot with these two. It's so, I love it. Kazuki and Ray are the best parent duo because they're just the perfect equivalents for each other, where they're like, yes, like Kazuki is the over emotional on the outside, like overreacting, but Ray has this like burning, fiery passion, and it's so damn good. Oh my gosh. And he's like, we have to cheer for them as loud as we can. And Ray's never really cheered for anything or anyone. He's always been told to be this. I feel like Ray is been told to be seen and not heard his whole life. And he's never had a parent like cheer him on or ask to be cheered upon. And so Ray doesn't understand what to do. And Kazuki's like, well, I love that Ray doesn't understand parenting because he didn't have a childhood. And Kazuki hasn't had a childhood, so he's over compensating with what he thinks it should be, right? Kazuki has an idea of parenting, and so he overcompensates by being so loud about it. And Ray has no concept of it, so he just doesn't know what to do. And I love that they just are both figuring it out together. And so then, yeah, I feel like the creators of this series have watched Bleach and really like Bleach because the symbol that's on Ray's shirt is like a Quincy cross. I'm like, it's definitely a Quincy cross. So I'm like, which he has dark hair like you. So I'm like, I feel like that's a comment, right? And then Kazuki kind of has like the hair sort of like Ichigo, but oh my god, them setting up the landmines and everything on their towel and barbed wire. Also, all of the dads with the cameras where they're all setting things up. Also, I want to make note, there is something that stands out in this episode, and I would love it to happen by the end of the series. If it does, I will lose my ever-loving mind. But there's a big focus on rings in this episode. Like all of the families, like they all have rings, like the dads all have their rings. And we see like granted, the majority of people are right-handed, so they would have but their left hand is where the ring is. Usually if you're married, the left hand is the hand you have your wedding ring on. So in all of the shots though, here's the thing, most people are right-handed, right? The majority of people are right-handed. Left-handed people, it's a bit of a minority. But throughout this episode, like it shows every parent like with their left hand in view, like positioning the cameras and everything, so you see that wedding ring. So that's like, even the moms, it's prominent, like you see the wedding ring on the mom hands, everything, which, sure, maybe that's just because it's a bunch of married couples there and parents there, but I feel like this episode makes a big focus to show those wedding rings off, to show the bond between the husband and wife. I want like a Yuri on Ice by the end of this series. I want a Yuri on Ice moment where Kazuki and Ray get rings. I need that. I want it to happen. I want them to have rings to prove that they're a family. My ultimate headcanon would be about like episode 13. All this angst, all this drama happens, and what do we get? We get a moment at the very end where they're a family, they're able to be a family together, and they both get rings, like matching rings, being like, well, since we're partners, since we're her family, I guess we should wear rings to prove it and make it like a thing. I need it. I want them to have rings by the end of it so that they are two partners, two dads raising Miri. I just need this in my life. I don't think this is a hard thing to ask for. I mean, if they didn't want to make it a thing, they could just say, oh, it's for the job. I mean, in Spy Family, they do it and they're not really married. They're just doing it as a cover. If you want to make it happen in this series, it'd be easy to do. I'm just saying. But yeah, I love that the dads, and then we have the moms. Like, we show the dads with the cameras, and then to be fair, we show the moms with the cameras as well, right? And then Ray and Kazuki are like, there's so many cameras, and Kazuki's like, oh, well, we've got them beat. We have like a freaking telescope on this. He's like, we're gonna take first prize, right? And I like that Ray's like, what are we taking first prize in? We're just taking a photo of Miri. Why do we need these lenses? And so then we have the two moms, right? The moms of the two girls. And I like that Kazuki is instantly like BFFs with them. I'm fully convinced that he's on the thread now. He's in the group chat. He's in the group chat with all of them. And he's like, oh, well, right. And he's kind of like has the flirtiness with him. And then I love that Ray's just like, what are you doing? Like, you've really chummed up with these moms, huh? He's like, you're really popular with them. You're really at home with all the moms. And he's like, well, yeah, we get to know each other. He's like, I'm on their group chat now. They talk about us a lot. They think we're both hot. He's like, you want to see what all the moms have a crush on us, too. It's like, well, you guys, yeah, they're very attractive. And Ray's like, what? You're very popular, Papa Ray. Yeah, don't you love a man with a dark side? They're like, ah, and Ray's like, what? I love that Ray's like, sure. I love that he's looking at Kazuki like, you let this go on? You let these ladies crush over us? Really? And Kazuki's like, right? I love it. I love that they are all on board the personas. And Ray's just like, you let these ladies talk about us like this? What? I'm fully convinced Ray is not interested in any of the ladies. And Kazuki, our bisexual king, he is like, oh, moms, but neither of them are homewreckers, right? So I love that the idea that all the parents are taking all these photos of the kids. They get some really cute shots of Miri, though. It's really sweet. And I like that they note how, the two moms note how stricken Kazuki is with Miri-chan. And Ray's just like, it's never viewed, Ray's like quietness is never seen as a bad thing. I like that they highlight in this episode how different Ray and Kazuki are as parents. And Ray's trying to figure out like, am I doing things wrong? What should I do? He's like, should I be cheering her on? And then I like that Miri is the one to do the announcing. Like, she's a natural born leader. Like, honestly, Ray, if the boss wasn't such an asshole, it'd be like, look, Miri has a very strong personality and she's like, she could be a leader herself. Why can't you accept her and Kazuki into your family? Why are we making this difficult? I don't think it has to be difficult. But at the end of the day, the problem is like Miri is a natural born leader and she's kind and considerate. And I think the hitman life is not the route she should go growing up. And so that's why I think that they need to get away from that. If they're going to really raise Miri, they need to quit being hitmen. But what do we do then, right? So that's the big question. What do we do if we can't be hitmen? Oh, it's such a hard question, right? And I love that Kazuki's like, bravo! And like cheers her on, and the staff's like, can you be quiet, sir? None of the other parents are talking during this ceremony. And he's like, oh yeah, sorry. And then Anna's like, we're gonna do the dancing ball shoot. I like that Ray's like, what the hell is this? He's like, what? And Kazuki's both like, we don't understand how this goes. Bless those people in the center with the nets, because honestly, I'm like, those people in the nets probably got pelted by ping pong balls by little kids all the time. Like, bless them for withstanding. I like the one girl has her arm up like blocking balls from hitting her. It's great. And Taiga's there too. I like that the entire time Taiga is by Miri, like setting that whole deal up. I'm like, oh my gosh. Adorable. And like I like that the moms are like, go on, Katori, give him hell! Like, they're just like moms and parents at a basketball game or a sports game. Like, my mom is the Kazuki that's just like, go on, give him hell. And my dad's like, oh my God. Like, my dad is I was saying this in the comments to Anime Annie that I feel like I connect with Ray so much because I love my dad, and my dad acts very much like Ray. Like, he's not the kind that like cheers on louder stuff. He's kind of like, good job. Way to go. Like, he's very calm and collected, and my mom is very much like Kazuki. Like, just do this thing. Like, right? I think I connect a lot to Ray because of that. And Kazuki's like, go hard, Miri, come on. And Ray's just like, I don't know what to do. How do I cheer? And then we have the child tug of war. I like that Anna is a badass, and she's like, let's do this. Again, Taiga and Miri are right there. It's cute. They end up winning. And Kazuki's like, man, Anna-chan is really something. And everybody's like, you're so strong, teacher. And she's like, next we'll have giraffe class gymnastic formations. I feel like Anna was like an Olympic like shot put winner, and she's just like, let's do this. But the gymnastics part was hilarious because I love how it started out where it was Taiga and them all with their little formations, and they're like, oh, that's cute. They're like, so cute. Nice bulk, perfectly done. And they're like, Miri, you rock. And then slowly, as it goes further, we see Taiga holding Miri's leg, and they're like, they're both like, yes, you're looking good, Miri. And then when she's like being like strung over Taiga's back, I love that Kazuki's like, wait, you're too close to her, you bastard. Keep your hands to yourself. And I love that Ray's the one that's like, he dies. Again, we go back to episode 6 where Kazuki was getting so overwhelmed and Ray's like, whoa, man, what are you doing? But now Ray gets it and he's protective of Miri too, and he's like, he's got to go. I'm just like, I love the fact that we've established that no, Ray is the father to be afraid of. Like, Kazuki will be vocal, but Ray's the one that will actually kill you. I'm just like, no, he dies. He has to go. And then Kazuki's like, oh, it's a lot less funny when you say it. You're being serious. He's like, I'm just halfway joking, but you would actually kill him. I'm just like, yeah, no. Kazuki is having none of Taiga. We'll talk about his family in a minute when we get to them. I love that we see his parents because it all makes sense now. So yeah, Kazuki like makes this delicious meal. There's like all of the things. And now it makes sense why he made all this food. He made it to bring there like a picnic so that everybody could enjoy it. That when he had that big breakfast spread, I'm like, dude, you're going to make her sick. I thought that's what was going to happen. She was going to eat too much and was going to be too sick for the race. No, he was making a whole bunch of food for them to enjoy. But what's so sad is that like Ray, like Kazuki does the thing that he does best, which is cook. And then Ray is like sitting there with his little rice balls that are all lumpy and stuff, but he still put a lot of time and effort into. And Ray says, maybe I shouldn't have made these. Like, he doesn't finish the sentence, but it's almost like he's like, maybe I shouldn't have made these. Like, they're not good enough. And that's the thing. I feel like Ray, throughout this entire episode, is struggling with the fact that he thinks that his past has made it to where he can't be a good dad, where he can't be a parent. Like, he's like, maybe I shouldn't have done this. Maybe I'm not cut out to be a parent. Like, my food's not good, whatever. But Miri doesn't care about that. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect. Like, Kazuki's a good cook. He's not good in other aspects. Ray kind of makes up for it in other aspects. But Ray is trying. And that's the big thing. And I'm like, my heart, right? And she's like, oh, it's Papa Ray's rice balls. And of course he puts like strawberry jam and like chocolate cereal in them and gummy bears. And the kids love them because that's stuff like little kids would like. And Kazuki's like, are you freaking kidding me, Ray? And Ray's like, I did what I could, right? He's like, could you make more responsible choices? And he's like, well, I would like them. And Kazuki's like, of course, yes, your taste buds have not changed in the last 10 months together. And so then they start the program and the race and everything. I want to make note, there are different, like, we have parents, like, together on different things. There are different moms that are together hanging out in the rugs. Now, I don't know if they're together like two women, or maybe they're just two moms whose husbands couldn't make it. But I'm like, maybe there's some spouses that are ladies too. We don't know. But yeah, and she's like, Miri's all about winning that gold medal. And it's great because we have, again, we do see some people there in the crowd that don't have wedding rings on. So maybe they are single moms. We can note that too, or single dads. Most of the guys that we see in here have a wedding ring on, and some of the women do, but there are some girls in the crowd that don't have a ring on. So they could be single parents, right? And they're like, go for it. You can do it. Don't trip. And so we see all of them together. And then we see all of them running, right? And so then, and Miri's really nervous and Kazuki's like, just treat it like practice. Don't be nervous. And then, of course, like her getting nervous is making them nervous. And they're all so concerned for her. Like Kazuki and Ray are so concerned. And Ray thinks about, he wants to cheer her on. And he starts to get really excited. Like, I love that Ray's like, okay, go for it, Miri. Come on. And he's like, do it. He's like, Miri, go for it. And Kazuki notices, right? Like she's getting nervous and everything. And he's like, go. And the moment that Ray starts to get into it, Kazuki notices that Ray's getting into it. And he's like, oh, he's like, hey, he's like, Ray's getting excited. Yeah. And he's like, go. And then he says, go for it, Miri. Like, to hear his voice actor, because usually the voice actor for Ray does not yell. Not usually. So to hear him yell for Miri to go for it is so cute. And that's when, and she even notices, and she's like, oh. And that's when she trips. And they're both like, Miri. And she's like, oh no. And Ray thinks that it's his fault. And I felt so bad because I thought the rest of this episode would just be Ray feeling so down in the dumps, like he feels responsible for hurting Miri's chance to win the gold medal. I'm glad that, again, this episode solved everything in this episode and did not make it this big downtrodden moment for Ray. And of course, Anna is super nice and gives her like the participation medal, being like, you tried your hardest, right? You tried your best. Like, she's so kind about it. She's like, good effort. And of course, Miri knows it's not gold. And she's like, ugh. And then Ray thinks that it's his fault. Of course, yeah. I like that Taiga won his match, of course. And his parents, oh my God. It all makes sense. His parents are the sports parents, right? They're like the athletic, like the mom is like giving him the shoulder rub. Like he has his mom's eyes and she has the Kinma hair that's blonde, but it's growing out the roots. The dad has the uppercut with like such the bro dad haircut. Oh my God. And like Taiga looks like his dad, but has his mom's eyes. He kind of has his mom's face too. He's like a perfect mix of the two of them. But yeah, of course they're like, nice work, son. Like, Taiga, of course, she's like, you rocked it out there. Like, of course, they're like sports parents. I love it. And they both like are so excited for Miri. They're like, it's okay. But Ray is the one that feels like he's let them all down. He's like, it's not your fault. And Miri doesn't even get it. She just knows that, like, she wants Kazuki to come. And Ray's like, no. Ray feels like he doesn't deserve to be out there. But Miri cheers Ray on, and she's like, hey, she cheers Ray up. She's like, hey, I'm going to get a gold medal for you. It's okay. Like, she doesn't think it's Ray's fault at all that she fell. And Ray just kind of like slowly builds himself back up, like waves to them, and is all, like just sitting there contemplating and watching everything. I love that Taiga's dad is helping him. It's great. And of course, Taiga instantly gets the marshmallow, right? They're the competitive family, right? That wear matching tracksuits. It's great. And she like tries to get it. I just love the idea that they're all trying to. And then and Kazuki's like, that little bastard got the marshmallow before us. And they have to run in the giant pair of boxers. That's hilarious. And then Ray starts to slowly build up the idea that he wants to root them on again. And when they draw the family card, y'all, I was wondering what it said. I thought it was going to say like my treasure or something precious to me. Like I thought it was going to say treasure, and she treasures Ray as her papa and was going to go get him. But the moment she got the two of them, I was like, oh, is it like my love or something? But family. Tears, y'all. Like the most heartwarming thing imaginable. And I like that Miri doesn't tell Ray what it says, because I feel like Miri is somewhat aware in that moment that Ray needs to you just need to grab Ray and make him go. Don't try to explain it. Ray will psych himself out. Just grab him and go. That's what you have to do. And in the background, you can see Tyga and his dad trying to figure out the scavenger hunt. Like, that's great. And then the two of them, oh my God, the two of them running with her in their arms. Get out of here. Get out of here. And then them crossing the finish line with her and them both smiling. And he asks what it says on the card. And that's when she shows him. And it says family. And I like Kazuki's like, you don't have to cry. And Ray's like, I'm not going to cry. And he's like, she said. And what was he saying there? He's like, hypocrisy, man. He's like, but it says family on it. And what does Kazuki say the whole time? I love that Miri's like laughing at him crying. And he says, she thinks we're family. It says family. And Miri's like, Papa's a grown-up who's crying. This family, y'all. I can't. And then they end up taking the picture at the end. And they're like, should we take this photo? Little do they know, Rio's been taking photos in the whole time, so it doesn't matter if they have the photo of themselves. But that photo of them together and Ray smiling. Oh, y'all. And then as they go back, like, I like that Kazuki has all the gear. He has the bags. He has the camera bags. He has Kazuki has every possible bag on him. And Ray is carrying Miri. Because, of course. And then he's like, I hope she'll get gold in the race next year. And Ray says, yeah, we'll practice on that. Oh. And then we cut back to Q. And he's the one that's been told he's not doing his job. He's not getting the photos. And Q can see them all together as a family. Oh, this is going to be hard, y'all. These next several episodes are going to be really hard, aren't they? I'm not ready for it. I'm not ready for it at all. No. But this episode was so wholesome and sweet. I'm not ready for next week. I'm just not. But what can we do? So I want to give a special shout out to our philanthropy tier over on Patreon. If you are a patron, you know that for $1 you can access the Discord and talk about Buddy Daddies with us and join the negative Nancys that are trying to convince me that someone's going to die in this series. Stop it. But you can do that, or you can, for $5, see next week's episode a week ahead and do that. Or you can be an especially amazing person like these 10 individuals on our philanthropy tier this month. Holy cow, you all are amazing. Edgar, Dana, Tyrone, Kenny, Larry Manning, Truck, Shimayama, Arjo, as well as, oh my gosh, Anime Annie and Be Happy. Thank you all so much for your kindness and support. I really appreciate it. You all help me do the things that I love and talk about series like these each and every week. So thank you all so much. All of my love. But yeah, y'all, I'm going to go back and rewatch this episode and go back to the Discord now that I don't have to mute it and talk with everybody on there. So I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe. Take care. And I'll see you all next week with episode 10 of Buddy Daddies. Bye.